effect of this is that it will blow apart the whole rotten structure that I've been talking about. This is not government of the people, by the people, for the people. Starmer represents government of the blob, by the blob, for the blob. And when it fails, it will be the blob that failed, not Britain. I think we should be talking about cancelling the Prime Minister, shouldn't we, really? This is the sort of thing, and I'm making a bit of a joke of it, but it's actually a very close line to being serious. This is the kind of thing that got people put in jail back in June.
Keir Starmer feels less like a genuine political leader and more like a meticulously rehearsed presentation embodied in human form. Observing him try to navigate the UK's challenges is like watching someone tackle a complex puzzle without grasping the underlying pieces, yet doing so with unshakable confidence. Every aspect of his demeanour is flat, cautious and uninspiring, functioning purely on a technical, almost mechanical level. There's no warmth, no spark, no palpable conviction to propel him forward, just a steady, calculated rhythm. He is always present, yet each appearance leaves the same lingering impression, underwhelming, hollow and forgettable, a performance repeated with unwavering consistency, devoid of the charisma or authenticity that might make people believe in him.
I met Keir Starmer, I'm delighted to say, but we have, as they say, previous. At the time of my cancellation back in 2020, Starmer was the only person in public life who wanted poor little Darren Grimes and me to be charged under the Section 6 of the Public Order Act, which I think carries mandatory imprisonment and up to 6 years. But is the measure of the man, the measure of his nastiness, the measure of his desire for vengeance, the measure of...
Then there is David Starkey, a historian celebrated for his incisive mind and relentless analytical precision. Starkey did not simply critique Keir Starmer, he methodically dismantled him, layer by layer, revealing how Starmer's vaunted reputation for competence rests on surprisingly fragile foundations. With calm, unshakable assurance, he stripped away the polished public image to expose the core beneath: shallow reasoning, recycled rhetoric, and a leadership style that contributes nothing original or compelling. There was no theatrics, no shouting, no grand gestures, just a controlled, deliberate, and quietly devastating deconstruction that left the audience fully aware of the emptiness behind Starmer's carefully maintained facade.
Sentences of up to 6 years. Right. Now, even the Times, that was not very sympathetic, wrote a third leader saying, this is mad. One public figure supported that charge. Sir Keir Starmer,
of course,
ex-DPP. And this is where they are a real, genuine and...
Starmer's deepest flaw lies in his conviction that he is the guardian of moderation, a figure meant to steady Britain's political turbulence. In truth, he embodies very little of substance. His leadership is devoid of direction, courage, or imagination. And in his preoccupation with appearing measured, he neglects to advocate for anything genuinely meaningful. There is no passion, no audacity, and no coherent vision for the nation's future. Only a relentless, almost compulsive need to seem reasonable. The result is a catalogue of policies that feel hollow, uninspiring, and instantly forgettable, leaving the public with little to rally behind or believe in.
Starmer. This constant fact that he harks on about being chief prosecutor. He's not, he's called Director of Public Prosecutions. But chief prosecutor, what does it make him sound like? It makes him sound like a figure out of Stalin's Russia. In Starmer's eyes, he is clearly of impeccable character.
Starkey didn't need theatrics or volume. He merely voiced what many had quietly suspected all along. Starmer isn't genuinely leading. He's managing appearances, softening edges, and sidestepping risk at every opportunity. Every choice is filtered through layers of committees, careful phrasing, and prolonged hesitation, leaving no room for decisive action. Politics under Starmer feels drained of life, like slogging through a tedious, overlong workplace email, meticulously composed, seemingly important, yet utterly devoid of substance, and somehow demanding your full attention despite offering nothing of real value.
Is a genuine emergency. There is a constitutional emergency. There is a political emergency. These things are manifestly malfunctioning. The proposals, the new Labour, the renewed Labour, actually it's just old new Labour proposals of Gordon Brown, will make a bad situation even worse. They will destroy what little faith there is in politics and politicians. Yes, but with a very heavy heart. Yes to a referendum.
Starmer seems utterly convinced that sidestepping strong stances makes him appear wiser and more electable. Yet dullness and invisibility inspire no one. He operates as if, by remaining motionless long enough, the public will confuse inertia for authority. In reality, people are left puzzled, unsure whether he is deliberating, hesitating, or simply too fearful to act. Nothing in his method produces confidence, sparks momentum, or evokes even the slightest sense of excitement. Only a lingering uncertainty that underscores the emptiness behind the carefully maintained facade.
Starmer's quite extraordinary. He's like a kind of speak your weight machine. What are they? We have working people. We have dear me. I've heard them so often. My father is a toolmaker. All these phrases constantly recurring, almost as though it's a kind of computer. It's almost like I've used an old-fashioned phrase, a speak your weight machine. He's a kind of AI, but he's not. AI would do it very, very much better. Very much better. Because Starmer is something...
His relentless flip-flopping compounds the problem. One day he pledges sweeping reform. The next, those promises dissolve into vague, corporate-sounding jargon. He talks as if preemptively apologising for choices he hasn't even made, and the only true consistency he demonstrates is inconsistency itself. Starkey recognised this immediately, making it clear he was under no illusions. Every time Starmer speaks, the energy in the room diminishes. He doesn't connect with people, he scrutinises them, measuring reactions and calculating responses instead of listening. Place him in any ordinary social setting, and the air would instantly thicken with awkwardness. A palpable reflection of the emotional void he carries wherever he goes.
The problem is, and we're going back to Starmer and whatever, the left in particular just believe in a culture of words. The absurd dispute about Elon Musk and doing that, or rather that, which shows he's a fascist. Here is a man who has just spent £44 billion making sure that X has freedom of speech. I don't think freedom of speech was very high on Adolf Hitler's list. But it's the entire left is about words and...
Remarkably, Starmer has even managed to make Jeremy Corbyn seem vigorous by comparison. Corbyn, for all his flaws, at least appeared to believe in something, however divisive it might have been. Starmer, on the other hand, seems perpetually stuck in a political boot camp, where every policy is provisional and every response meticulously rehearsed. Yet he expects public support. Support for what exactly? His message too often shrinks to a mere, "I'm not the alternative." He doesn't project the presence of a leader, he resembles a placeholder, occupying a position until someone with conviction and vision finally arrives.
Starmer, as the Baldwin biography makes clear, has fundamental and indeed fundamentalist believes. He is a believer in the supremacy of law. That doesn't actually mean the supremacy of law, it means the supremacy of lawyers, of people like him. He believes that basically human society should be constructed according to rules made by people like him, which are enforced by people like him, and prevent anybody else who is not like him from having a say in anything. And it's through the device of this strange thing called human rights law.
Starkey, a historian rooted in rigorous thought and deep knowledge of the past, refused to let Starmer's fade go unchallenged. Methodically, he peeled back the layers of carefully curated public image, exposing the hollowness beneath. Behind the polished speeches and rehearsed lines is someone whose guiding principle seems to be avoiding offence. And avoiding offence is not leadership. Refuse to take a stand, and you surrender to everything. One week he claims to speak for workers, the next he reassures bankers. One moment he nods to climate responsibility, the next he quietly defers to powerful interests. Starkey made it unmistakably clear this is not strength, it is collapse masquerading as caution.
What I'm really struck by, much though I detest this government, the situation that it's finding itself in is actually starting to force it to think. It's doing it very reluctantly. The whole bias of the Labour Party is it is the welfare party. It pretends to be the party of work, yes, but in fact it's the party of...
Meanwhile, Starkey came fully armed with facts and historical insight, demonstrating that Starmer's so-called achievements amount mostly to erasing the memory that Labour once stood for principle and conviction. He did not launch attacks in anger. He dismantled Starmer with calm precision, guided by perspective rooted in history. He reminded the audience that Britain has seen true leaders, figures with courage, clarity of conviction, and the will to defend both. By comparison, Starmer appears utterly out of place. His habitual fence-sitting leaves him paralysed on every major issue. Brexit, the economy, immigration, education all unfold the same tiresome pattern. He starts with vague statements, pauses to gauge reactions, then clarifies by saying even less, blames miscommunication, and finally forces an awkward smile before moving on, leaving nothing resolved and no confidence inspired.
So Starmer and I have previous. How's he gone so badly wrong? Well, several people, if you think of Rosie Duffield's magnificent letter, she points out that this is a man who is now Prime Minister of the country who had no political experience. He is also not simply a lawyer. Everybody said to me, how on earth can this man be a QC? How can he be so, well, A, dumb, and B, how can he be so bad at public speaking? Nasal whine. Well, I suppose he can't help that he comes from Reigate, but that's or indeed, my father was a toolmaker too, but I did something about it, I suppose. But what has gone wrong with Starmer is that A, he's not very clear.
Starkey didn't need volume or theatrics to make his point. He simply held up Starmer to the audience as he really is. What became unmistakably clear was a leader who doubts every firm conviction, whose primary political skill lies in dodging clear answers. His career seems designed to keep him visible just enough to matter, but never strong enough to truly challenge anyone. Britain needs decisive leadership, not cautious comfort. Yet Starmer continues to speak of rebuilding trust, as if voters have forgotten the promises he abandoned on his way to the Labour leadership. It's like asking for applause long after the trick has stopped working. The outcome isn't renewed confidence, it's growing indifference, a public increasingly unmoved by the hollow assurances he offers.
Starmer's something completely different. He's our first totally non-political Prime Minister. He embodies something, I think, completely new in British politics that we've never seen before, and we're already realising just how dreadful it is. What Starmer is the incarnation of all the fundamental changes that have taken place in our constitution, a kind of behind-the-scenes revolution since Blair. Starmer has a real set of values. He believes in the rules. Theresa May believed in the rules, but Starmer's were a much more structured, much more focused set.
Whenever Starmer speaks of change, it rings hollow and undefined. He uses the word repeatedly, yet never explains what it means. Change from what, toward what, leaving questions unanswered. His statements feel mechanical and detached, written more to occupy space than to inspire action. Starkey didn't need to respond at length. His quiet, measured reaction conveyed everything. Starmer's message lacks energy, clarity, and substance. It comes across as bland, overworked, and perpetually unfinished. Yet he stands there expecting admiration, as if offering something bold. The public reaction tells a different story. People are not inspired. They are already searching for alternatives.
We've seen through them. We are all now the little boy crying out, "The emperor's got no clothes." And Starmer is marching stark naked, repeatedly stripped off, telling lie after lie after lie, which we all know are lies. This is why trust in politics is collapsing. People know they're being...
What makes it worse is that Starmer seems to genuinely believe his cautious approach is effective. He speaks with the unwavering confidence of someone convinced that careful planning alone solves every problem. His speeches lack warmth, personality, or human connection, yet he delivers them as if hearts and minds are being won. Listeners are often left puzzled, unsure who he is even meant to reach. Starkey didn't need to exaggerate, he simply highlighted the obvious. Starmer is so cautious, so relentlessly neutral, that he fades into the background. The harder he strives to appear calm and above the chaos, the more forgettable he becomes. He seeks to project thoughtfulness and steadiness, but instead comes across as distant, disengaged, and oddly detached from the very audience he hopes to lead.